Well, guys, welcome back, you guys. Thanks for all being here. Let me just say a couple of things, I guess, before we start, since I haven't talked to anybody. But obviously, it's we've been going at this for about a week now with the rookie camp and that. So very excited about the season. Very optimistic about the season. I think most of you were around last weekend for the prospects showcase. That went really well for us from the win-loss standpoint, getting 3-0 record. I thought our rookies were good. Just to talk about a few names, and as far as goaltender, I think Connor Ingram showed really good, as he did again today. And this is the guy that we traded for with Tampa Bay, and we're obviously trying to formulate our depth in goal and have some prospects behind Pekka and Saros. But I think he's done really well so far. on defense, we only played Fabro in one game. He played really well that first game, and really appears that he's ready to either take a spot, or depending on what side you are, or not lose a spot that he had at the end of last year. Looked real good. The player that we traded, one of the players we traded for PK, Jeremy Davies, is continuing to catch our eyes and looks like a good prospect. Plus, he went to Northeastern, which is my alma mater, so that maybe has the inside track. But he's looked very good to this point. Alex Carrier, who's played 2 years down in Milwaukee, played well in the camp, and again here today. So I think we've got good depth there. Forwards, some on the speed end of it. I mean, Rem Pitlick both scored and had great speed, and he seems like his time that he spent with us last year at the end of the year has served him well. Anthony Richard is the guy that scored some goals down in Milwaukee last year. He can kill some penalties, and he has some speed. So we're liking what we see out of Anthony. And then Tolvanen did his thing by scoring four goals. So from that standpoint, it gives us some good decisions as we move forward. I really believe that we have a lot of depth this year, and I think for those of you who've been around last week and watching that we probably has as much depth in the organization as we've ever had. Understatement, but obvious. Our primary goal in training camp is to set our roster. Again, I don't want to make changes for the sake of making changes. I want to make changes for getting better. That's really what I told the players when we started training camp. And based on what we saw out there today, I think we're going to have some tough decisions, and I think we got some real competition. Last few years, we've carried 8 defensemen and 13 forwards. I just want to point out that may be the case again. It may not be the case. It's probably going to be determined by who are the best players, who are our best assets, and at what positions. And again, just repeating myself, I think we have good depth in both forwards and defense, and it'll be really interesting how it plays out. A lot of the decisions that we're going to make at training camp will be with an eye towards offense, something that we talked about a lot at the end of last year. We certainly believe that with the addition of Matt Duchesne, that he will help us with the offense and help us specifically with our top 2 lines. But I also believe that we based on our depth and how we could set up, we could actually have a better scoring balance on all 4 lines. Back on the defense again for a second, we got 11 players here that have NHL experience on defense. I think you will see Coach Lavalette, not only in this scrimmage, but in preseason games, probably use a multitude of different pairings just to see where the fits might be and how that all plays out. All these guys bring a little bit different element to the table and skill set, so we'll see what combinations complement each other. If you were out at Centennial yesterday, you would have seen our newest coach, Danny Lambert. We really think Dan's going to do a really good job for us on the offensive side of our game, and specifically on our power play. And so far, so good. I really feel good about the addition of Dan to our team. I guess one other thing before I ask questions, just on the Roman Josi thing. They're ongoing conversations, regular conversations. Frustrating for me to say it to you, but not much more I can say. We're just both continue to talk and work towards a contract, and that's the only update I have there. Okay, questions?
Are you surprised, or given recent history, are you surprised that, Roman said he wants to be here, you guys have said you want to be here, are you surprised it's taken this long to negotiate?
each negotiation has certain elements that make it different. I mean, he was gone almost a month, not any communication. Can we blame him? He just went on his honeymoon, So there's that. Then there's this, there's a lot of guys that are unsigned this year, RFAs or what have you. That, I mean, you could say it has a factor, or somebody else may say it won't have a factor. There's just lots of different things, and every negotiation is different.
Do you believe, David, that the external factors, the unsigned RFAs and players outside of your organization have had an effect on what you want to do?
On what I want to do, no, not really, no.
Is the same as optimism still remain that it will get done eventually?
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, it's made sense to me since day one, or since we've started, talking, and it's been talking over a year with his representatives, and I think it totally makes sense.
How do you think a potential move to the wing could help Kyle Turris rebound?
Well, if Duchesne remains in the middle, with Joey and Duchesne being our 1-2 centers, it's necessary for that to happen if he's going to have an opportunity in the top two lines. I think, as I said about the defense, and you probably should ask Peter a little bit more than me. I think he's going to try a lot of different combinations there, and probably, Kyle. I'm sure you'll see Kyle back at center ice in preseason games also. I don't know how to really answer the question. I mean, again, I'm thinking that we could be, in my most optimistic way, we could be dynamite with three lines of Kyle being one of the three centers. I mean, we haven't had three centers like that with the offensive capabilities. On the other hand, that's a very coveted spot to play on the left wing with Joey and Harvey if Peter decides to play Philip, say, with Duchesne like he had in practice yesterday. So I think it's a new thing for new opportunity for Kyle, and I think this experimentation is just going to be part of training camp.
Would it be, say, more beneficial than playing with guys around him who can make him better, as opposed to maybe playing him on a third or fourth line where he has to kind of bring those guys up? Not that he's not capable of it, but I mean, it could rejuvenate his game or maybe boost his confidence a little playing with those guys.
I think it could be successful in both ways. I mean, it really is, Kyle's, we've talked a lot about it, and Kyle, we're probably the first to admit that he didn't have the year that he wanted to have, a couple of injuries, and obviously didn't happen for him, and our secondary scoring wasn't there, and Kyle needs to be what he was when we first traded for him. If he gets back to that level again, I don't care where we play him. That's going to be great for us and for our team.
Looking at roster spot battles, you were very excited about the signing of Daniel Carr. First couple days seeing him, just how excited are you to see him out there competing?
Well, again, we've got to find out where the fit is for him. I mean, you sign an offensive player. We're looking for more offense in our team. I think you'll see in the preseason games again where Peter structures the roster so that Daniel Carr gets a good opportunity. But he's in a battle for sure with lots of guys that when you count the numbers. I mean, we've got, I think, 15 players in one-way contracts, and then you have Tolvin, and you have Rem Pitlick, you've got Anthony Richard that I just mentioned from the rookie camp. That, I mean, I don't think they're just going to lay down and not put up a fight.
David, in your experience with Daniel, talking about Daniel Carr, in your experience, and obviously he had a very good season last year in the AHL, but it doesn't always. Good offensive numbers in the AHL don't always translate into the NHL. I mean, is there a reason for that in your mind? And what about Daniel's skill set do you think can translate to finding offensive success in the NHL?
Well, the way you asked the question, you're exactly right. I mean, so it's not a sure thing for us or for Daniel, but he's been knocking on the door for a couple of years, and the opportunities that he's been given, they've been very very limited. So I'm sure he would say the same thing from his standpoint. I mean. Again, what if Lavi put him on a line with Joey and Harvey? I mean that, I guess you could find out right away, wouldn't you? I mean, whether he can do it. So again, I don't have the crystal ball. What's going to happen? I hope it works out for Daniel and for us. I mean, at the worst case scenario, it's got great depth, and when you look at the A2 game schedule and your players that you call up, in my view of what's happened the past few years, when we've run into injuries, we've been able to call up some decent players, but with all due respect, it's been more for a lower line. And again, I'm not on the first day or second day of training camp, so I mean, to have Carr in our organization, both playing for us regular or from the first line to say the fourth line, that you can have an offensive player like that, or as a call-up, it's all has good possibilities. So I think he's going to have an impact on our team at some point, whether it's on a full-time basis or not. But let's give it a little bit of time to see what happens.
And you have enjoyed in the recent years, and maybe even your whole career, a certain level of flexibility against the cap and roster things. But you seem to be up against the cap right now. How comfortable are you going into the season with that situation?
Not very comfortable. No, I've liked our position before from a fiscal standpoint. Again, it's unavoidable to be one of the better teams in the league as long as we've been. I think that's got to take the good news with the bad news, and it's something that everybody's dealing with. You read about it every day. Every signing is, somebody signs a contract and right away they say they got this much left in the cap. It's just the way it is, and it's we get over half of the teams that are just knocking on the door right now. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out for everybody. How that affects your trading ability if you need to or want to make a change during the season. What kind of flexibility, opportunity that you have at the trading deadline. We've always been in a good position where we could add substantial salary at the trading deadline in recent years. So it's a different world, and I'm happy with our team. Just wish it was for less money.
We've talked about rebuilding the cupboard a lot, and there's been a lot of that with free agent signings from college and draft picks, and obviously seeing a lot of Milwaukee players here as well. How excited are Carl Taylor and Scott Ford seeing the depth of this organization now, the guys that have graduated have been draft picks and also that you've signed?
Yeah, we've done a really good job starting last year of getting a better team in Milwaukee with more prospects. Again, the story is pretty simple. We've been at a high competitive level. We traded away first picks, second picks, prospects. I mean, we've kind of cleaned out the cupboard, so now we're building it back up there. So it feels much better. I still have challenged our scouts and guys to find free agents to do whatever we can to keep going that direction. They also have told me that they're going to take my cell phone away again at the trading deadline, so we don't trade first and second picks, and we can do that. Like in first impressions this year, we've got, feels to me, we got two terrific picks in our first two picks. Again, they're in all likelihood probably going to go back to junior, but I feel really good about them. Last few years at training camp, we haven't had anything like that. So there's two 18-year-olds right here. That's a good start for us.
David, how close is Ellie to being ready to be a full-time NHL player in your eyes? I know he's young, and he seems like he's been here for a while, being just 20 years old.
He's been here for 1 year. I mean, that's the problem, because he got so much hype that KHL year, so much hype. And last year was not an easy year for him. It was an okay year, but again, he had to be one of 3 or 4 youngest players in the league. And then so this year he's already better. We see that better conditioning, moving better, scoring more goals in the rookie tournament. I mean, this next week you'll see him again tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to play in one of the 2 Tampa Bay games. In a week from now, we'll have a much better read on whether he was able to play, have any success, or what have you. So again, his expectations are probably as high as anybody, from what he's gone through with the success at the KHL level, and got a lot of recognition that year, a lot of fanfare coming in, and it takes time. But to me, we're way ahead of where we were last year.
When you consider Mikael Granlund coming over to the trade deadline, which is hard enough for any player, but then of course having his wife having their son the same day or the day after. Do you ever feel like Mikael ever looked or felt settled last year, and what are your expectations for him this season?
No, it didn't. It never felt that way that he ever, really, was a completely, settled in, to use your word. I mean, it's, again, it's still 20-game thing and et cetera, but the timing was not good for him, certainly from a personal standpoint, and from there, you got to make your own decision on how it played out. As I think I've said to you and others, I mean, with lengthy end of the year meetings last year and talked about a lot of stuff. His name got brought up a lot in a very positive way by multiple players as a guy that they really wanted to back on our team, a guy that they felt was hard to play against, all of those things. From the onset of training camp, I've seen him just a couple of times, but it just seems like he feels more of a predator, and this is more of his team right now. So again, it could be in a real good situation on a line with, if it's say Duchesne, if Labby keeps those at least pairs together. So I'm as optimistic as I can be that we're going to see the Michael Granlund that we traded for.
Were you what maybe pleasant? I don't know, surprise is the right word, but the way that Dante was able to play, especially in the playoffs last year, you said the summer was part of the reason why you were willing to let PK go, because you felt like you had somebody in the future could take his spot or whatever. Is there talking pressure or expectations? I don't even went through college, but what are your kind of, I don't know if there's expectations is the right word. What are your impressions of what his role should be this soon in his career?
I think we're going to give him as much as he can handle, but I think we've got other veterans that can move up and play left side, right side if we need to. So I think and hopefully we have the right setup that allow him to be successful. Based on how I've seen him in the rookie camp for one game, how I've seen him today, he looks really, really good, and I think maybe we won't have enough for him to handle. I don't know, but again, we have to, we always a little cautious with our younger players, put them in that position to be successful, that type of a situation. But if you remember last year, PK got hurt for a long period of time, and Dan Hamhuis went and played with Eki, and they were terrific together. So again, an 82-game schedule we're looking at, lots of opportunities. Matt Irwin has moved up before, Weber's played with Eki, so we've had different combinations. But Fabro looks really good to us at the outset here.
Understanding, David, that your priority is getting Roman under contract, are you, or will you consider re-signing Mikhail and Craig Smith at any point in the season?
In priority, Roman is first, and then we'll go from there. And because Roman's dollars are such that we're going to have to do some long-term planning. But the goal, if we're successful, is always to keep the band together. Like that. I mean, again, with the age of those guys, be nice if they had good years, and it'd be nice if we could re-sign them. But I think one big contract at a time.
I know you probably can't give me a number, but you mentioned a lot about competition in the Rookie Prospect Showcase, and then here in training camp, and guys battling for position. How many spots would you say, again, not a specific number, but just are actually open on this team?
Probably have to answer it a different way. I mean, you can go by our defense that was here last year, or forwards are here last year. Are the incumbents such that we want that they can play better, succeed somebody? Do we want to make a change? Do we want to make a change because they're better? Do we want to make a change because could bring a different element, whether it be, say, goal scoring or speed, penalty killing, power play, offense? It's all the examples. It's Daniel Carr being the leading scorer of the American Hockey League. Now, would he be better than a guy that didn't put up much offense last year, and so he could, from that standpoint, chip in at a higher rate? Would that benefit our club more? Same thing on defense. We know who the guys we have. We've seen a couple of young players. Do they have something that they could bring to the table that might be better? And again, when we do all this, I mean, I look at the whole year long. I mean, in terms of our depth or what have you. So without naming names, I could make a case that this guy looks pretty good at training camp, but him playing 20-plus minutes down in Milwaukee and playing all the special teams and what have you might be the best way to get him more ready for when we want to call him up. So we could maybe have changes on October 1st when we start the season, because we have the depth and we want to make changes for for the belief that if we do that, we'll get better. But maybe it's in a couple of months. Maybe it's near the trading deadline. Maybe their trading deadline is really promoting players from within instead of making big trades from outside the organization. So there's a lot of things there. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I like what we're working with. I like what's on the table. We got a lot of things to decide. It's good.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.